Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. A bucket full of food. We're going to talk about what you might want to add to this or do differently to ensure better food preservation. We'll also talk about some alternatives, what the cost of those may be, and why it's important not to let perfect be the enemy of good here. So in this food bucket, I have black beans, lentils, black-eyed peas, and for viewers in the South, I'm sure you'll understand why I've got a couple of bags of red beans to go with my rice. The star of the show, good old rice. That's going to be far more than what most people have in their homes right now. You can go ahead and get started today for 30 bucks. And throughout the course of the year, you can incorporate these rice and beans into many of your meals. We love to do a Jamaican jerk chicken bowl. That incorporates the white rice and the black beans. Red beans and rice, great go-to. Keep your red beans there. If you prefer one bean or are more likely to consistently use one bean throughout the year, do that. Just this week, we made a Indian curry lentil soup, and now I get to refresh my stock. So when the concerns come around, is this in a 25-year bucket? I don't believe this is a 25-year bucket. I did put a Gamma Seal lid on it. I put an oxygen absorber in it. For me, that has worked. I'm going to use all of this rice and beans over the course of the next calendar year. I don't ever stock more than what I need for the next calendar year. One of the concerns is, do you freeze before you put it in a bucket? I do not personally freeze before I put it in a bucket. I've never had bug issues with rice, but I've had it with other grains that were farmed and didn't go through any sort of treatment process. If you plan on freezing these before you put them into the bucket, definitely have a plan in place to deal with the moisture after you take it out of the freezer. Think about a Coca-Cola can on a hot summer day. Whenever something cold is introduced into a warmer environment, it's going to condense that moisture on it. That's going to happen on each individual grain of rice and introduce the water element for some potential spoilage. So have a plan in place to reduce that moisture out. Then I only have one thing left to do, and that's to put something in here for preservation. All right, this is a bag of Hot Hands. You can get it at any supermarket, really any outdoor store. If you'll look at the contents on a Hot Hands pack, you're going to see iron, water, vermiculite, charcoal, polymer, and salt. So what's going on inside of a Hot Hands, whenever you open these up, you may be familiar with these. All right, we're gonna do that next to the microphone just so you can hear that. Shake these Hot Hands. And that's gonna mix all of those contents up. What's happening inside of here and what causes the heat to go off is a oxidizing reaction. And that oxidizing reaction, what that means is that it's consuming oxygen. So you can put these inside of your bucket, and then we're gonna use a Gamma Seal lid. I got these at my local farm supply store. And the cool thing about these is that they have a rubber gasket, so we're really gonna eliminate more air coming into this bucket. This bucket lid snaps on here, pretty easy process. So you're gonna be able to twist on that Gamma Seal lid. Now we're gonna go ahead and talk about things that you might want to keep off to the side of this kit. Okay? Any sort of multi-purpose seasoning that fits the cuisine that you like to eat. Remember, the idea is not to keep this forever until it expires and I have to replace it. Let's get something that we enjoy using. That way, as we're working through these buckets, hey, I'm just gonna work through this seasoning too. Some soy sauce, coconut aminos. We like to cook a lot of Asian-inspired dishes, so it's gonna go good with that. Definitely brings umami to a lot of things that you may cook. Then we've got some sriracha, just a really concentrated way to add some spice. You could go with some Greek seasoning, some Cavenders, whatever it is that you like to eat is really what's going to be the most beneficial to put in this. You can stylize it to your own taste. Then to answer our fuel and water, there it is. That's my fuel and water. So here I've got a Sawyer Squeeze water filter. Now this is really cool because the threads on this baby will screw right onto a Life water bottle or a Smart water bottle. We can bring it back to basics and do some really primitive ways to filter water, but I love this. This has been a go-to in my kit for the better part of the last decade. This is a really cool little cook stove. Okay, this is a Evernew titanium S-Pot 500. I'm not sure what's out there on the market now. I got this quite a long time ago. But this cook stove is really awesome because it will work with alcohol. Most people in sort of emergency scenarios, we're going for our kerosene, we're going for our gasoline, our diesel, our propane, natural gas, great fuel source, but for as long as the lines are running. Alcohol, I boil 500 milliliters of water in this. I'm probably going to use about 1.5 ounces of alcohol. Now, the cool thing about this stove, you can spin this around and modify how it sits just a little bit. And that's going to give us a little place to feed in some wood in here. So with just a small amount of wood, little bit of small fiber kindling. Talk about cooking. If you're cooking and you have a little bit of excess fat from whatever you're cooking, you could even soak something in that excess fat to make it a little bit more flammable. We're going to use this. We're going to set our pot on there, and I'm going to get my water by squeezing a water bottle with a Sawyer Squeeze water filter on here. Boom. Now I'm able to cook my small portion of rice and beans here. Just a nice peace of mind thing to have around. There we go. One of the alternatives that you may have, brand notwithstanding, these are practical for backpacking. They're very lightweight. They don't have to be cooked. They just typically have to be put in water and reconstituted. The biggest issue is if we kick the price up in this corner, yeah, $5. And that's on sale. This one has 700 calories in it. Now let's compare this to our bucket of rice. For 30 bucks, we have how many calories? So what is that whenever we break it down to 30 days of a 1,500 calorie a day diet? Yeah, big difference there. And then if you eat a little bit more food than that, let's break it down. I believe it's going to be about 21 days. What are the macros there? Compare that to the price if I was to spread these 700 calorie meals out over 30 days. The price for 42,000 calories of our rice and bean, price for the 42,000 calories of our freeze-dried meals. Yeah, big difference there. So before we get out of here, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to stay tuned for some fun, flavorful, practical recipes that we're going to make out of this survival food kit. Thanks for watching.